I'm going to start with a question today. Name the first Hawaii football player you think of. You said Colt Brennan, right? As you should have. He's a Hawaii and college football legend who was gone too soon. May he rest in peace. If you guessed somebody else, was it Timmy Chang? He's the current head coach of Hawaii, who also manned the run and shoot before Brennan, finishing his career as the NCAA career passing yards record holder. Maybe you said Cole McDonald, who brought the Rainbow Warriors back to notoriety with a Mountain West Championship game appearance and 10 wins in 2019, marking a successful return to the run and shoot under Nick Rolovich, another Hawaii run and shoot quarterback in the 2000s. Between Brennan and McDonald, Hawaii didn't have a lot of success as a program. However, there is one major exception to that, the year 2010. It stands out among a decade of mediocrity, much like the state of Hawaii does in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. That year, the Rainbow Warriors were 10-4. By this point, the key contributors of 2007 and head coach June Jones were all gone, and even the sweet Nike uniforms were replaced by ones from Under Armour, but the run and shoot was still firing. The Warriors were actually in year 3 of Greg McMackin. McMackin, known as Coach Mac to some, is actually a defensive coach with defensive coordinator stops at Utah, Navy, Miami, the Seattle Seahawks, Texas Tech, and 2 stints in Hawaii, including in 2007. It's very rare to see a defensive coach leading such a pass-heavy offense like the run and shoot, which hurts the defense, but it's hard to justify switching away from it, given all the success Hawaii previously had, and also knowing where Hawaii has been without it. It also helps when you have the right assistants. The offensive coordinator in 2010 was the same Nick Rolovich, who knows the run and shoot as well as anybody, as he ran it with Hawaii in 2000-2001 and spent 4 more years as an assistant. Rolo was just promoted to the OC position for 2010, setting up a career that would take him to the Hawaii and Washington State head coaching positions. On the other side of the ball, Dave Aranda, now the head coach at Baylor, was promoted to the defensive coordinator position for 2010. Brian Smith served as a running back coach. Now he's entering his first season as the Ohio head coach in 2025. Finally, Coach Mack brought back Mouse Davis as wide receiver coach, who is one of the godfathers of the run and shoot and legitimately does know it better than anybody else living on the planet in 2010. Something different with the run and shoot this year was utilizing the pistol more than years past to make it easier to run the ball, particularly with quarterback runs and read options. It's a small change that doesn't really affect the option routes of the receivers, but proved to be very successful, as Hawaii went from being incapable of running the ball to averaging 106 yards per game and 4.8 yards per carry, which was inside the top 25 on the season. Halfback Alex Green took advantage, rushing for 1,199 yards and 18 touchdowns while averaging 8.2 yards per carry. On the other side of the ball, Hawaii's defense did their thing, creating chaos with an FBS-leading 38 turnovers and 23 interceptions forced. The unit still wasn't consistently good, but I know Coach Mack and Aranda were happy with that, all things considered. However, this is Hawaii and they had a good season. Who cares about how they did running the ball and how many turnovers their defense forced? If Hawaii is having a successful season, that probably means they're slinging the ball all over the field, and that's exactly what they did. Bryant Moniz was entering his second season at Hawaii after 1 year at the JUCO level, and he became the type of feel-good story that everybody loves. The Oahu native came back home in 2009 and was a walk-on delivering pizzas on the side to support his family. Moniz also rose from being the 7th quarterback on the depth chart to the starter in October the year prior, gaining experience and putting up solid numbers in an unremarkable season for the Bows. By the time 2010 came around, Moniz had experience, the right coaches, and the supporting cast to be successful. Hawaii's 2 leading receivers from a season ago, all-WAC Greg Salas and Kealoha Polares, who was the leading rusher of the 2017 before switching to wideout, were also back. However, not everybody believed in the Warriors. Prior to the season, WAC coaches thought Hawaii would finish 5th, and the media thought they'd finish 7th in the 9-team conference. Everybody expected Hawaii to put up gaudy numbers once again, because that's just what the offense does, but I don't think anybody expected Hawaii to have the season that they would have. The Bows would start 2010 with a tough test. Number 14 USC in their first game under Lane Kiffin headed to Aloha Stadium. Despite the loss, I don't think anybody was mad about Hawaii's performance. They outgained USC, had more first downs, won the turnover battle 1-0, and went above 50% on third down. Moniz threw for 269 yards and a touchdown, ran for 38 more yards, but was knocked out of the game in the third quarter due to injury. Still, this was a very promising season opener for Hawaii and proved how special the offense could really be once again. Hawaii would follow that up with the first of 2 difficult road tests, traveling nearly 5,000 miles to play Army at West Point and then going over 5,000 feet up in the Rocky Mountains to battle with Colorado. In the Army game, there was no jet lag as Hawaii would jump out to a 21-0 lead, although that didn't last long, with Army staging their own 28-point unanswered run. The next drive, Alex Green ran into the end zone to knot it up late in the third quarter, and that's where the score stood for much of the fourth quarter, tied 28-all. Eventually, Army would go on a lengthy drive and get as far as the Hawaii 23-yard line, but would get backed up by a penalty and fumble on third down with just 24 seconds left. Moniz and company would get down the field in 2 plays, aided by a late hit out of bounds by Army, and Scott Enos would deliver a 31-yard field goal with 7 seconds left to get the Bows a come-from-behind win. Hawaii would once again start strong against the Buffs, taking a 10-0 lead at halftime, a lead that could have been twice as large though, as Enos missed a field goal and Green fumbled at the 1-yard line. Colorado would clean things up in the second half, scoring touchdowns on 4 of their 5 second-half drives while stifling Moniz and dominating third downs on both sides of the ball, winning 31-13. After that, Hawaii beat Charleston Southern in a dominant 66-7 showing against an FCS team just happy to collect a paycheck and see the beaches. Moniz was money today, completing 19 of 27 passes for 395 yards and 6 TDs as one of 5 quarterbacks to throw the ball. Nobody knew it at the time, but the win started a 6-game winning streak where Hawaii looked dominant nearly every week. WAC play begun with Louisiana Tech and their first-year head coach Sonny Dykes traveling to the islands. Hawaii once again started hot, going up 24-0 with 2 second-quarter touchdowns for Kiloa Pilares and rode the momentum to a 41-21 victory. Moniz put together not only one of the best games of his career, but also one of the best in Hawaii school history. He completed 42 of 58 passes for 532 yards and 4 TDs, while also rushing for 49 yards and being tied for Hawaii's game high on the ground with Chizzy Demude. The 581 total yards set a Hawaii school record that still stands today. Pilares would set his own Hawaii record with 18 receptions to go along with 217 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Fresno State was next on the schedule, which would be a big prove-it game for Hawaii. Fresno was 3-1 coming into the game, projected as the clear third-best team in the WAC before the season, with a win over Cincinnati, who won 12 games in 2009, and the only loss had come on the road against Ole Miss. Additionally, there is a bit of bad blood between the two programs. I won't dive into it too much, but the programs don't like each other, and Fresno would not let Hawaii sneak up on them. By the time kickoff started, a competitive first half gave way to a second half surge from the Warriors, who won 49-27. This time, Alex Green and Greg Salas led the offense as each finished with over 140 yards and 3 touchdowns. Cornerback Jeremy Bryant had the other touchdown as he picked off his second pass of the game for a 48-yard pick six. A bigger test would follow with number 19 and 6-0 Nevada coming into town. This Nevada team was special, with the duo of quarterback Colin Kaepernick and halfback Vaiatawa, who combined for 2,816 yards and 39 touchdowns on the ground that season. One of the biggest stories with this Wolfpack team, in addition to how well-run their pistol offense was, is how they started games. Nevada had scored a touchdown on their first drive in all 6 games and hadn't trailed all season heading into the Hawaii matchup. 3 plays into the game, that streak ended, with the Wolfpack going 3-and-out. Kaepernick would fumble on the first play of the next drive, and Hawaii would capitalize with a Kiloa Pilares touchdown. Nevada's next 2 drives were also punts, with the second Pilares touchdown in between, and Hawaii held a 14-0 lead that shocked whoever was still awake in the mainland. Tawa and Kaepernick would finally get a first down and get into Hawaii territory, but that drive came up empty-handed too after a failed 4th and 6 attempt. When halftime rolled around, after a red zone interception forced by Hawaii's Richard Torres, Nevada was down 17-0. Surely, Nevada would get things going, right? They forced a quick 3-and-out on Hawaii to start the second half and drove down the field, with Kaepernick extending the ball to the front left pylon for a touchdown. However, that call was overturned as Kaepernick was stripped before getting into the end zone by Corey Paredes, his second forced fumble of the game. Touchback, Hawaii ball at the 20-yard line, still up 17-0. The Wolfpack would get a stop, and aided by a long Rashard Matthews punt return, start at the Hawaii 17-yard line. Kaepernick would get into the end zone on 4th and goal at the 1 to finally get on the board with about a minute left in the third quarter. Hawaii's offense would wake up and get another 3 points on an Enos field goal before Nevada got another long kickoff return this time, and Tawa got a receiving touchdown. The Warrior offense was clutch once again, going on a 6-play drive that would bring the lead up to 13 with a Royce Pollard touchdown. But despite that, the Bows weren't out of it yet. Nevada would complete their 3rd touchdown drive in a row and do it in just 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And with the Wolfpack recovering an onside kick, they had a golden chance to seal victory from Hawaii, just needing to go 57 yards in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. At the 34-yard line of Hawaii, Kaepernick dropped back and delivered his biggest throw of the game.
Hawaii's defense will stiffen. There won't be as much room to defend. Down the seam, it's tipped and intercepted. Mana Silva. That's the football game, boys and girls. The tip ball. It's the old tip ball drill.
So, do you think Hawaii had their respect now? If not, wins, albeit by 35 and 38 points over bad Utah State and Idaho teams, probably didn't change that. Do you know what would, though? Going to the Smurf turf and knocking off Boise State. Going back to 2007, despite the 10-0 start to the season, Hawaii wasn't respected on the national level until they beat Boise State. Considering the Broncos had only lost one game in the over 2.5 years since and were ranked as the fourth best team in the country, it was a major test for the Warriors, but a massive game nonetheless between the last WAC unbeaten teams. In the game, I wish I could have some nice things to say about Hawaii, but the only positive is they won the turnover battle 3-0. That's nice. Getting outgained 737 to 196 was not. Neither was not scoring until trailing 42-0 in the fourth quarter, with Alex Green running from 54 yards out to score Hawaii's only points of the game. That 2010 Boise team was so talented, and it killed pretty much any chance of a WAC championship for Hawaii, because tell me, who is beating this Boise State team? Bryant Moniz would make up for his horrible play the week prior with by far a season low of 127 yards by setting a school record of 560 passing yards despite sitting out the second half of the fourth quarter, as Hawaii would beat a dreadful San Jose State team 41-7. Hawaii had another highly likely win with an awful New Mexico State team on the docket to conclude WAC play. Before that, Nevada and Boise State were playing a top 20 battle on Friday night. This might be the biggest game in WAC history. We might as well see what happened. And, well, Nevada was down 17-0 once again. Man, Kellen Moore and this team was so good. It sucks that they never got a real chance at a national championship, though, because this is before the playoff era. Doug Martin, Titus Young, and Austin Pettis were dogs, too. It's like this is the team version of a TikTok name a forgotten NFL player comment section. Also, you know they brought back 23 of 24 starters from the 2009 season, right? When they already went undefeated and won the Fiesta Bowl? Wait, why is this a tied game? Boise State, come on, you guys need to make a play.
Set it up to Martin. Doug Martin. Look at Doug Martin go. Puts on a move, and Martin still on his feet. Doug Martin, could he? Yes!
Okay, good work, Doug Martin. This is what I was talking about. Just make a stop like Hawaii did, and you'll win, and you'll probably go to the Rose Bowl.
Wide for Kaepernick. Play clock at 2. Touchdown, Nevada! Rashard Matthews does it again!
Great job, Boise. Now you gotta go to overtime, and Nevada's got all the momentum. Just kneel the ball and see what happens in OT. Wait, why aren't they in victory formation?
Steps up, airs it out, looking for Titus Young. Did he catch it? Diving catch with 1 second to go.
Oh my God, Titus Young, you are him. Wow, that is one of the greatest plays I have ever seen. Just make a chip shot field goal, and you can escape with a win, Boise.
Now it's time for Brodsman to deliver. This from 26. No good.
Oh my God. Well, I guess we're in the same spot we were in before, right?
This is turning into a disaster for Brodsman.
Is Boise State really going to choke this? There's no way.
Instead, it is Martinez with the win. Nevada has done it.
How did that just happen? Obviously, this was a huge game for the WAC, but why does this matter for Hawaii and this video? Well, with the Rainbow Warriors taking care of business 59-24 against New Mexico State, led by a program record 327 yards rushing by Alex Green, Hawaii jumped back into a three-way tie for the WAC lead. The Bows would end the season with a non-conference game against UNLV. Assuming Boise State and Nevada could beat bad Utah State and Louisiana Tech teams, Hawaii would clinch their fourth WAC championship in program history. If only Boise lost, then Hawaii would be outright WAC champions. Before the Warriors kicked off with UNLV at 10:30 Eastern, Boise and Nevada dominated inferior teams, meaning the WAC was won once more. Hawaii, now back in the top 25 at number 25, would blow out another bad team, winning 59-21. Moniz finished the game with over 400 total yards and 6 touchdowns. Hawaii secured their spot in the Hawaii Bowl and faced Tulsa, which went 9-3 in Conference USA. Normally, it's a greater advantage to be a run-and-shoot team in bowl season, as teams are unfamiliar with the rear scheme and aren't as prepared to stop it. Unfortunately, Tulsa already played SMU, who was coached by the same June Jones that was so successful at Hawaii in the years prior. The game was a wild one, with 97 total points, 1,081 yards, and 5 touchdowns from over 30 yards out. Tulsa took advantage of the chunk plays, with 4 of them, and more importantly, had 2 pick sixes. Hawaii's turnover fortune in 2010 was not present that day. While the defense forced 2 turnovers of their own, it was dwarfed by the 6 turnovers from the Bows. It was not the send-off that senior Greg Salas wanted, as while the All-American caught 13 passes for 214 yards and 2 touchdowns, his record-setting career ended with an ugly loss. The run-and-shoot ran over the season leaders for the 2010 season. Bryant Moniz led the country with 5,040 yards passing and 39 touchdowns. Greg Salas was first in receiving yards at 1,889, second in receptions with 131, and tied for fourth with 14 touchdowns. Kilo Pilares was one spot ahead of Salas with 15 receiving touchdowns, 7th with 1,306 yards, and 13th with 88 receptions. The passing game wasn't the only thing putting up numbers, as Alex Green tied for 8th in the country with 18 rushing touchdowns, and DB Mana Silva was tied for 2nd in the country with 8 interceptions. Hawaii's 550.6 total yards was the 6th best mark in the country, and their 39.6 points was good for 10th. Hawaii would have 3 players drafted in 2011, halfback Alex Green in the 3rd round, Salas in the 4th, and fellow wide receiver Pilares in the 5th. Linebacker Aaron Brown was drafted a year later, meaning the 4 drafted players from this team matched the total number of draft picks Hawaii has had since. Given that stat and what I said about Hawaii at the beginning, there hasn't been much success after 2010. 2011 saw high expectations in a WAC that lost Boise State, as Hawaii was predicted by both the media and coaches to win the conference. The Bows also pushed a Bryant Moniz Heisman campaign, like what they did leading up to 2007 with Colt Brennan. The season began by avenging the Colorado loss a year prior, but that would become the only highlight. Hawaii would end the season at 6-7, regressing in all phases of the game. Moniz wasn't bad, but his college career ended with an injury against Nevada, missing the final 3 games. Coach Mack resigned at the end of the year, and when Norm Chow took over in 2012, the run-and-shoot was gone. He only won 10 games in less than 4 years as the Hawaii head coach. His replacement, Nick Rolovich, again, did some good things, including another 10-win season in 2019, but he left his alma mater right after. Todd Graham would win the New Mexico Bowl in 2020, but resigned after 2021 following allegations of mistreating players. Today, Hawaii is entering year 4 of former star quarterback Timmy Chang. He's utilizing the run and shoot, both at the same success of any of his predecessors, as he is still yet to make a bowl game. Hawaii no longer plays in Aloha Stadium either, which closed in 2020 due to structural issues, instead playing in the 16,000-seat Clarence T.C. Ching Athletics Complex. There have been plans to build a new Aloha Stadium for some time now, but there have been constant delays with the project. For now, the new stadium is set to open in 2028. Hawaii will always be an underdog in the grand scheme of college football. The program has been lacking in facilities long before 2007, and that hasn't changed. I mean, Ching's contract is somehow smaller than McMackin's from over 15 years ago. More Hawaii recruits than ever are leaving the islands, and the JUCO transfers that dominated the program have shrunk over time. I don't know if Hawaii will ever have a season like 2010 again. I do know this. Even though 2010 gets overlooked by 2007, as does Bryant Moniz by Colt Brennan and others, it was still a special season, and it needs to be talked about more than it has been. Thank you.